is the day that you have chosen to listen to the Wrestling Mayhem Show. This is DJ Lunchbox. Alright, super.
What are you recording? What are you...
Oh God, he's always going for the weapons.
Ooh. Is this a hornswoggle spot?
Hold on, stop!
I have no idea.
Alright.
Alright.
Sorg,
Yes?
start the panel. Start the panel.
Welcome to the evolution of a podcast presented by the Wrestling Mayhem Show. I am Sorg, otherwise known as Sorgatron, on the show from time to time. And under the table,
You're
and I'm all alone.
That's it.
I'm all alone.
Sorg, Sorg, restart the panel.
Are you serious?
Restart the panel.
I'll just edit in post.
This is the Wrestling Mayhem Show's evolution of a podcast. Welcome. Thank you. I'm Sorg, and I'm the producer of it, as well as webmaster at westernpajugglers.com, of course, wrestlingmayhemshow.com. We do a rap group crap that we'll be playing here tomorrow at 6 and Saturday at 10:15. And they're at monkeyflingsboo.com, where we also do a Crapcast podcast for that, and video stuff called what?
Sorry.
What?
Ask the question.
What?
God, ask the question.
You didn't fill me in on the question.
What's podcasting?
What is podcasting?
Oh. Oh, jeez.
Huh.
Podcasting's a surprise! Did it work?
I think we were all surprised.
Podcasting's a surprise! Because I'm DJ Lunchbox and I'm on the Wrestling Mayhem Show too. That's right. What?
This is the most ridiculous thing you've ever done.
I don't know about that because podcasting's also ridiculous. We do a lot of things ridiculous here on the Wrestling Mayhem Show. Remember when I wore a dress?
Remember somebody called me during a session? Someone did that.
Apple is the devil. Lesson number 2. You've got to catch up.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
No, you're doing a good job.
I delivered my line. It's your turn. You were doing good.
Anyway.
You just forgot the question.
Basically, our approach to telling people about podcasting and everything is to kind of tell everybody how we've developed. We've been doing this for 2.5 years now. As of the summer, because we started in January 2006. Does that sound about right?
That sounds, yeah, I think that's right.
That's good?
That sounds about right.
Okay.
I lost my thread. Oh.
I started with this guy.
No, not entirely. Well, podcasting, yes. We did start. Originally, this guy started just streaming audio on his own. And then I came along, and somewhere along the line, he was like, well, why don't we record these?
You were tending bar at a party.
I was tending, that's true, I was tending bar.
Yeah, we started talking wrestling. I was like, hey, I was running a Shoutcast server out of my house that held like 15 listeners at a time for the Western PA Juggalos segment.
That was pushing it when we were 15.
Yeah, that was pushing it.
We had so
started
much
getting
server
choppy at
crashes
about
and-
12.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, a thing for, the ICP fans Juggalo thing, and I just started, and I didn't have a job yet. I think I just got out of school or something.
That's how we met each other. We had people through the art institutes.
Yes. After Raw every Monday, I just got on and started bullshitting about it, which was just me and a microphone at first, and maybe somebody was in a chat room that I had set up.
No. Our chat rooms were always set up through Instant Messenger.
Oh, we had IM chat rooms, that's right.
Yeah. Basically, the moral of the story is we worked with it nothing. We had basically nothing. We used what we could scrape. We had little tiny desktop microphones, nothing elaborate.
If you listen to our first show, every podcast we said that, like, our first 2 shows were horrible. Also, unless they've done 3 podcasts beforehand.
Right.
So,
right. But see, there's another lesson in this. we started with desktop mics, AOL, everything. Anybody can have a podcast. I think that's the beauty of it is anybody can have a podcast. Would you like to start a podcast? Bam, start a podcast. All you need to do is pick a topic and talk about it every week or every month, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and do it in a way that's interesting. That's
probably the hardest part.
That's the most boiled down podcasting instructions ever.
Because we just started talking about wrestling, and then this guy would bring people over he knew, and they kind of became part of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had a rotating cast of characters since we started.
Yeah.
Some people stay, some people go.
Yes, but it's been the two of us, and Dark Remedy is probably the other one that's been there the longest.
Mm-hmm. Our most recent addition has been a real live girl on a wrestling podcast. Her name is Mayhem Missy. She's just a sugar beet. You need me to go back under the table?
No.
I really hurt my head when I was doing that.
That table jumped when we did that. That was pretty.
Well, I hit my head pretty hard.
You remember that from podcast. Basically, we kept going and started acquiring fans. We were going through the Switch Pod at first, and now TalkShoe, which we've been on that for almost 2 years now.
Eventually, how recent was it that we started video? About a year?
Actually, yeah, probably approaching a year.
About a year. We started doing video about a year, just a simple, I think we started with a simple webcam. Again, just, real basic stuff. And we worked our way up to a very nice camera. I think it might be the one that we're filming this with.
No, it's the other one that we're not filming this with.
It's a different one.
It's over at the booth.
Even then, it's just it's like a Sony hand cam. It's pick it up at Best Buy. So, and we film.
Just because I'm too cheap to go out and buy another webcam for $20. So, but no, we kept going, and we started noticing we were getting fans. Like the one site we were going through had a tally of people that downloaded from different countries. And we were starting to see hits from Cairo, Egypt.
Yep. Cairo.
And we started getting a few from England. Canada, of course. We have some regular fans from Canada that message us. And we really started getting into making it interactive. We encouraged everybody to submit their fan mail that we read every week. And a lot of these people have really become their own characters on the show and almost kind of, part members through the
cast.
Yeah. And eventually we had people visit us. A doctor, Bill Mabias from England.
London, England. It was in North London. He flew in and spent the weekend with us. And
did a show with us. Another one, Mad Mike, who now is officially part of the show because he calls in almost every week, and he's done a lot of extra stuff. Like he filled in. He just did the podcast for us when SmackDown was in Pittsburgh, and on Tuesday night when we record the show, and we just you want to do the show? Go for it. And he did a really good job, and we've been up to visit him. He's been down to visit us. In Pittsburgh.
Did we mention he's from New York?
In the Bronx.
In the Bronx?
Yes.
He's in the Bronx. So the other thing with Mayhem Missy actually was she started out as a fan of the show, and we struck up conversations. But I think the moral of this story, what we can take away from this part, is that if you take care of your fans will take care of you.
Big part of it, especially if it's something with a fan base like wrestling, because a lot of people are into wrestling, and a lot of people want to talk about it. So kind of go in that avenue to do it.
It's one of those things where it's a niche. It's a niche, and if you mention to someone you're a wrestling fan, sometimes you get a look of disapproval. You know what I mean? And even I know a lot of people here at the convention can identify with that. I'm a comic book fan. Some people, you get that look of disapproval. I like video games, and I think one of the most successful aspects of our podcast is that people find kindred spirits in us. They find people who like wrestling just as much as they do, and they can be here and enjoy it and not be ashamed. So we're a safe haven.
And we try to be a little more than critics, especially with the wrestling industry. There's a lot of people that just pan everything. They just tear everything apart. Nothing's good, and we find what's good, that we can enjoy on Monday nights when everybody else says Raw sucks.
Yeah.
All over the year.
We always, there's never been, I don't think, a Raw that was just like everything was terrible. We always at least find one bright spot to the things that we review.
And we eventually started getting in with a local promotion called IWC International Wrestling Cartel.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's out of Pittsburgh.
IWCWrestling.com.
And
Go on.
you threw me off there. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
So we started going to shows and talking with them, and we've done, I don't even know how many interviews since then.
Oh, yeah, we've got our first like 5 or 6 interviews came from IWC.
Yeah, and eventually we started getting people because TNA wrestlers were coming through.
TNAWrestling.com.
You plugging machine tonight? What's going on?
Yes.
All right. This is more or less how the show goes.
Yeah.
Not so much structure, but that's what's called the Mayhem Show.
We've discovered
What are we talking about?
interviews.
Oh, we had a couple American Gladiators from the new relaunch on Toa and Zen.
Zen.
He's Zen on
His
the
real
show.
name is
His
Zen.
real name's Zen.
What's his name? Zen.
Zen.
7 Deadly Zins. Sorry.
Zen.
Zenmuku. Zen. Look it up.
He's in the Weezer video.
He's in the Weezer video. He does flips. He's in the Ninja Gaiden video.
Yeah.
Or of a ninja doing flips. He flips.
You didn't get much sleep last night, did you?
Shut it.
Okay. You kind of nap while you're down there, right?
No.
Alright.
Sleep is for crazy people. Like Sorg was saying earlier, we don't really have a lot of structure on the show. Now, if you listen to other shows, just for... What? What's funny?
No.
If you listen to a lot of other shows, for instance, the G-Spot, or the G-Spot from the Gspot.com, or StrongHeelsman.com, ShouldIDrinkThat.com, they're very edited, they're very structured, they know what they're doing, they have segments, breaks, so on and so forth.
They have real equipment.
No, they don't.
They don't.
Not really.
They have equipment.
They basically have the same equipment as we do.
Oh, yeah?
Which is slightly upgraded, yeah. So the structure works for them, but you have to find what works for you. Because if we had the tight segments, our show would be completely different.
Mm-hmm.
I've been guests on the other shows, and it's very much a different recording style. It's not bad. It just didn't work for us.
Yeah.
So lesson number 8.
That's like I don't know if I've talked to you about this, but the Awful Show, they do their show on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
They're up until 4 in the morning editing that thing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason we're a very raw show.
The G-Spot records weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Which is another option we don't have because we record a lot of news.
Yeah. Well, our stuff is very up to the minute.
Off.
Yeah. Well, no, up to the minute. News.
That's true. We all sit in front of computers doing the show, and we can find the most up-to-date information.
Yeah. There's news that comes out like during the thing, like when Rampage Jackson in MMA got pulled over.
Yeah, we were one of the first
stuff.
shows to break the news.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. We get windfalls from time to time.
But
like I said, lesson number 8: gotta find what works for you.
8.
Shut it. Jesus, I came up from under a table. Muffin?
No, I want to.
Sorry.
Okay.
This is a test for you.
Is it a test?
You're being tested.
I'm being tested.
Right.
I didn't eat the muffin. That was a
It's
plus.
not doing well.
So,
Go on.
and this is how the show
What
goes.
comes next? Where are we now?
That's how they show.
Where are we now? We're podcasters. We do live in Pittsburgh, as you've seen on the flyers. And just doing what we love
Yeah.
has garnered us this sort of celebrity. And
I always tell him no whenever he tells me that.
he doesn't know.
He's like, like 2 years ago, you're like, dude, we're internet superstars. I'm like, what?
No, when it started, I was full of crap. My logic was, if I say we're international radio superstars, eventually it'll come true. Lo and behold, it came true. We have fans.
How's that muffin doing?
Oh, that's great. We have fans on many different continents. We have fans all across the United States. We get fan mail from across the United States.
We actually had a fan contact me that emails every week, WrestleFan. He's in all of our chat rooms. He's always in our chat rooms. He's from Texas.
Do you have a website?
Oh, the TNA Mickey.
TNAMickeySomething.com.
He's running his fantasy thing from which I never caught on to what it was about. So, but no, he messages us, was like, hey, can I get you guys an interview? I'm like, okay, whoever you want, not really thinking anything. And next thing I know, we have an interview lined up for actually this Tuesday for a former ECW champion.
Mm-hmm.
So,
One
Mikey Whipwreck, yeah.
Right. It's very surreal. I attribute a lot of it to luck, honestly. How far we've gotten, the fact that me and Sorg can work well together, as well as we work well with Doc Remedy, we work well with Mayhem Missy. We're not completely incompetent when it comes to interviewing wrestlers. Yeah. We can show respect to the wrestlers when we need to, joke with them when we need to.
And the other thing is, like, one thing we've been, like, Mad Mike, when he visited us from the Bronx, stayed for a weekend, we bullshit about whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's like, the conversations we have.
WhiteBandWithCandy.com.
WhiteBandWithCandy.com.
I'm sorry. WhiteBandWithCandy.blogspot.com. That's Mad Mike's blog.
That we talked to him at the start.
It's great.
Broke my thought, man.
I'm sorry.
Oh, the conversations we have about wrestling, like, we'll have, we could have had coming here today, Like, we'll drive the shows and just bullshit about, like, what do you think about what's the tradition about this?
Look what just happened now. How about the floppity-doo?
And we mostly entertain ourselves in that. Cause, in that. Oh, did I just go Yinzer? Man, that sounds too long. Sorry,
Pittsburgh. We were from Pittsburgh.
Yinsteam.com?
Yeah, Yinsteam.com.
Yes.
Hell.
You got me doing it now.
Good. You totally lost your train of thought.
Yeah, you killed me.
Okay.
You take the next one.
Okay.
We're welcome to field any questions you guys might have.
Yeah, if you guys want to jump in with questions, we're happy to.
So it sounds like you're recording together in the same location. You're not using Skype or anything like that in order to bring people in who aren't physically located where you are.
Not so much. We haven't had a smooth sailing with that. Just for time to working out all the kinks.
We do it sometimes. If I'm sick or not feeling well or anything, I've used Skype to call in from my apartment and become a part of the show.
It's just really hard to do because typically there's anywhere up to 5 people in the studio.
Yeah.
And
we don't have any headphones.
No, we don't have enough headphones for one thing, and everybody's sitting close enough to do that. And when you got like 5 people interacting on this end, and of course there's that delay with Skype, and these people will just run over the other guy on Skype, Mm-hmm. It just kind of turns into a car wreck of conversation.
It's a delicate balance to work.
Yeah. I can understand, and plus you need to.
Nothing. Keep going. You got something in your badge. I'm not going to do that. I'm not. I'm over here.
And you got to make sure you're with people that kind of know how to work out the timing with it. Kind of like, give that second before you respond. And you still even see that. I still see that on This Week in Tech and some other shows where people accidentally talk over each other. Mm-hmm. It happens. And we just found we did it a lot.
Yes.
So, guys, just don't do it. And we've done it with Blog TV because I have everything running. I used to run like 3 computers to run everything. Mm-hmm. Like I patch it through a board, which the only reason I have a soundboard is because I also have the rap group and we record music. So I got for that and I was like, well, let's go put it in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually
Spoo.com. FaceMarketing.com.
I actually
Wrestling Mayhem Show.com.
For my own mic, like I have everybody else's mic, it's just a broader room mic. And since I'm facing the other direction for the computers, I have my own mic. And it's actually the wireless mics I brought here for our show tomorrow night. So it's kind of nice that we've been able to co-op stuff. And if I had to make a purchase, it kind of has a double purpose to do it. But it's really not that expensive. I mean, our board was $50. The mic, the good mic we have, which you don't even need anything as good as what we use, was $80.
Yeah.
And you can get something fairly decent. I think they had like podcasting kits for like $30.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Like that's a big marketing thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was a USB mic that I think we had at work. It didn't work out for what we were doing, but it's I opened this thing up and I got a sticker on. I was like, great for podcasting. What the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And they're pretty cheap to get started. I mean, as long as you're using something better than like the $15 Logitech, piece of plastic crap thing. And I mean, you can even start with that at least. But if you really, where you at?
It's the
It's the Boost.
Boost Mobile.
Yeah, like all
BoostMobile.com. As far as
it's not sponsored, man.
as far as like the actual technical paths that we go down when we do the show, like I said, we broadcast with a webcam on Blog TV. Simultaneously, we stream only the audio also comes through Blog TV. We stream just the audio on TalkShoe.com, who also hosts our recordings, and we record with a I don't remember, but we use an audio program to record it as an MP3. Audition.
But you can use Audacity, which is free.
You can use GarageBand if you're a Mac person, and anything. If you can, as long as it lets you record, and then basically at the end of the night,
and for long periods. Because I remember I recorded something long on Acid Pro, and it didn't like it.
Yeah.
So make sure it's something, especially like sometimes we go at least 2 hours, and sometimes up to 3 hours of a recording. So you gotta make sure you have something that's gonna be reliable. Mm-hmm. And even I've been having problems lately with little skips here and there with my current computer. And I really just used to string it and record to this computer, which passes through to this computer, so I was recording a redundancy. And so really make sure you're not going to lose that stuff. Especially with the stuff we do that's really random.
Yeah, that's a
that we can never replicate.
Yeah.
So, but we're going to talk more about the kind of getting into podcasting Saturday morning at that thing.
The Podcasting 101.
The intro to podcasting.
Intro to podcasting.
At 11 a.m. on Saturday.
Right here at cononthecob.com.
That's for the YouTube video later.
That's for the whatever.
That's for the
That's whatever you want to use it for.
That's for the Boost Mobile in the hallway. Where you at?
Now, let's talk about the future. The future. If we're talking about the evolution of podcasting, we should talk about where we're going. Where are we taking the Wrestling Mayhem Show? What is up and beyond? What are our goals? Short-term goals. You give me 2, I'll give them 2. I mean, you give them 2, I'll give them 2. TiVo.
TiVo has podcasts.
I didn't even know. All right, goal number 1, TiVo.
Yeah.
Bam.
That's why I'm kind of working up this. That's why we got a green sheet behind us instead of nothing.
TiVo.com.
On the video feed. And we don't. We're not a video podcast. Like we don't podcast the video.
It's not exclusive.
Yeah, I don't think we explained that very well. The Blog TV is just for the live show, to have the chat room, to have the visual interaction. And I mean, we do tape segments when we know we're going to be doing something that might be visually interesting as well on the show, and throw that, especially when you put the monkey head on.
What are you talking about?
I mean,
I've never put a monkey head on in my life. I'm tired of these allegations and rumors.
There's a certain Stoke monkey that's on our show.
He's salty because he is running for president here in 2008, and there's another person who comes on our show known as Stoke Monkey who's also running for president and doing a better job, I might add.
You're supposed to be part of my cabinet.
I am part of your cabinet. That's the problem.
SorgChannel.com.
Yes.
We have a lot of websites.
That's right. GoDaddy.com. Post most of our stuff.
Deal with those guys.
Yeah. That's the other nice thing.
Don't ask us about advertising. We haven't figured it out yet.
Not really.
That's not.
We're lucky when we get a couple of free meals for plugging around.
Actually, yeah, we need to cash in those free meals at the Stoke Grill, wasn't it?
It's Stoke's Grill.
I don't even know where the hell it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Dave's nuts.
He talked about us reading from their menu on the show. I'm like, dude, it's enough. We get the idea. Go.
But like I was saying, our cost, while there is cost, it's not bad. I mean, we pay for our websites. We pay. I mean, we pay attention. All right.
Go ahead. Don't
we pay for the websites. We pay for the equipment, which is a one-time cost. But I mean, you don't have to pay to get your website, get your podcast hosted on TalkShoe. You don't have to pay to stream on Blog TV, and you don't have to pay to put videos on YouTube.
A lot of people complain about TalkShoe for one reason or another. TalkShoe is good for what it is,
and it's free.
It's free, and it's nice. It's okay. But there's also one called Blog Talk Radio, which is pretty decent, which is kind of in the same vein. So there's a choice now amongst those. And what's nice about them is you can get, and then again, this is for the other session room.
Not great blueberry.
Not great blueberry.
It's about blueberry.
Huh. But I mean, really, all you need to get started.
Mirror hat.
What?
Your mirror hat.
What do you mean?
Oh, there's blueberry in there.
Shit. All you need is an account, an internet connection, and really a phone. So a lot of these are set up that you can actually call a number and record it over the phone.
You are so easily distracted. I'm going to put a count down in the corner of the video.
And
every time
I'm
you get
running on
distracted.
2 hours sleep. I didn't even
Rockstar.
slam this Rockstar like I said I was going to before
Eat some
this.
muffins.
I really want to fall over right now, and I still want to play Rock Band.
Okay. The other thing about advertising, sometimes you got to fish. We test energy drinks on our show. We haven't seen a dime from any of them.
We try.
But we continue to do it.
I guess it doesn't help when we
say they suck.
I don't think Steven Seagal likes us, for one thing. That's still a reoccurring gag.
If anybody, but we've had a lot of energy drinks, foreign, local. The hands down worst energy drink ever in the world, Steven Seagal's. It tastes like burnt feet covered in black cherries, left out on a porch for a month and a half. It's awful. It's awful.
He's really offended by that.
I'm.
And sometimes we tend to call the comment lines.
We do call the comment lines, which is we call the one for Raw actually. WWE Raw had an energy drink and we tried it. Tried to call the comment line, it just didn't work.
Yeah,
Didn't care. Didn't care what we had to say.
Hulk Hogan would yell at us. It was really weird. Yeah. I don't know. You're like looking at me like
I'm expecting you to continue. You're the boss here.
I'm never the boss. You know that. You know that.
Why do I call you the boss?
Just make me feel better.
He knows what he's doing. Now, another aspect of the Wrestling Mayhem Show is, of course, the violence. Wrestling is a violent sport. So, I mean, there's some violence. Doesn't come across well as far as audio is concerned, but there's violence.
That's why we have lots and lots and lots of videos on YouTube.
That's right. YouTube.com/SPS Juggalo. Did I remember that? Is that right?
That's right. That's right. That's good job.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Mayhemshow.com.
So we're kind of experimenting with that. Nothing regular. We've been talking for a long time about doing a regular video cast, but I just don't have time. Really?
Yeah.
So
what we're doing right now is
enough time.
It's taxing. It's taxing because we're friends with a lot of other local podcasts, and we always get a lot of, well, at least personally, I've always gotten a lot of compliments that we keep up the schedule every week. We put out a show every Tuesday.
Yeah.
What show are we on now? 140?
This last week was 136.
136. We're creeping up on 140.
And that's, we had, at the beginning we would skip a week here and there.
Yeah.
But, it was just...
I think there may have been 1 or 2 weeks this year so far.
And we do pretty decent. We're not doing like thousands, but we're doing the...
We have almost the most episodes. When it's us in the G Spot, I think, have the most episodes of any podcast in Pittsburgh. And the G Spot's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, awful shows out there. Awful shows started just a little bit after us.
True. They need to be more part of the community. But let's talk about the community, Sorg. The podcasting community that we've got going on in Pittsburgh.
You talk about the community because you're in it.
Well, there is a community in Pittsburgh, but it's not limited to Pittsburgh. This also, I think, ties in with the future of the show. Today is October 2nd, 2008. October 17th, 18th, and 19th is PodCamp Pittsburgh 3. Now, it's held in Pittsburgh, but it's not just for people from Pittsburgh. It's for anybody who wants to come along. If you want to learn about social media and start something, come and do it. If you want to already know something about social media and show it off, come and do it. But basically, I attribute so much of our success to those kind of meetups, to the PodCamps, to if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. There's tweet-ups. I guarantee they'll do them 5 feet from your house.
Social media is an amazingly interesting and scary thing at the same time.
Absolutely. If getting involved in social media, podcasting, blogging, all of this, it's spend 10 days on, you'll find 5 people who love exactly the same things that you love.
It was an interesting roundup of all.
It's an amazing process.
Yes. Yeah, it is really interesting because when we sat down for the PodCamp Pittsburgh 3 first meeting, there was like 20, 25 people there that wanted to get involved. Their first thing was like 3 people. The first PodCamp was like 3 people, and they put together in about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
We've been planning this thing since April. And it's a free event, and it's a lot of community building.
Absolutely.
You know, everybody scratches each other's backs. You learn a lot from all the other podcasts.
Free promotion as well.
Yeah. So really, I mean, you know, when you start a podcast, just see what everybody else is doing. Go on the blogs. Chris Brogan's a good social media guy.
ChrisBrogan.com.
We actually started the PodCamp in Boston.
See with C.S. Penn, I think, and Jeff Pulver.
I don't know
Pulver
if it
was
was
involved.
I think he worked for
I
one
think
or
C.S.
something.
Penn.
I can never keep those names straight.
This is Chris and JeffPulver.com.
Who's that really?
Camp.com. PodCampPittsburgh.com.
You can be like sitting in your sleep going.
So easily derailed.
You're really like.
Just kidding.
What are we at? I don't know what time it is.
7:40.
7:40. You guys have any more questions?
I was going to ask about, you mentioned the local Pittsburgh podcasting community. What about the wrestling podcast community? Is there such a thing? I would imagine there have to be.
Community? We don't really...
Wrestling's a funny business.
Yeah. Well...
I mean, there have to be other wrestling podcasts.
There
can't be the only.
Plenty of those. Actually, one of my big inspirations is Between the Ropes. They're actually an Orlando radio show that happens to podcast, so everybody would be interested in that. They're probably by far the biggest show as far as that goes.
Yeah, there's them. There's I think it's Figure 4 Radio. They're calling it now. It's Dave Meltzer who does that. Smart Mark and James Gutman's Radio Free Insanity as well.
WrestleCrap.
WrestleCrap. Yeah.
I have like 3 other casts that I have sitting in my queue to
But I mean, do you guys interact with those other casts at all?
Absolutely
Because I know,
not.
you know, we're obviously we're at Con on the Cob, and
Yeah.
a big part of Con on the Cob is gaming and specifically role-playing gaming. And there's a lot of role-playing gaming podcasts that I'm aware of, and that community seems like a very tight-knit community. Even podcast to podcast, and the trading promos back and forth. They're appearing on one another's podcasts. I'm just wondering if that's the sort of thing you see in the wrestling.
Podcasting in general, yes, is that way.
I'm trying to complete a checklist of appearing on all the different podcasts in Pittsburgh. I think I'm 3 in now, 2 or 3 in. Because I've been on Strong Heelsman and the G-Spot. I think we made an appearance on Should I Drink That's Videos. Anyway.
But the wrestling community
Wrestling's
don't
funny.
like each other.
Yeah.
I mean, really, there's a lot of different sects of people that are into wrestling. People just like kind of watch on Monday night. People that are really into it and really just kind of love all of it, and then the people that just kind of bitch about it.
Yeah.
And
There's people who like what they see on TV. That's it. There's people who only like the backstage stuff. There's
the politics and the who doesn't like who backstage, so he's not getting the title now.
Exactly.
That kind of stuff. And there's people that are just like, well, you know, I hate all the TV stuff. I love the indie stuff. You know, that's crap. I don't care what they do in WWE.
I have to say that probably the biggest compliment that I think we've received so far is it was from one of the local wrestlers, one of the Gambinos, and no, it wasn't. It was Hentai, Super Hentai.
Super Hentai. He's been around for about 10 years.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh
legend.
Yeah, pretty much Pittsburgh legend. Yeah, and he's wrestling in Japan. He was trained in Japan by some of the big names over there.
Well, we had him on the show, and he said that he thought we were great because we knew what was going on backstage. After the shows, we'll go out and we'll drink with the boys, and we'll have conversations with them. We know some of their real names. But at the same time, we go to these IWC shows. We don't care about what's going on backstage. We don't care that we know their real name. We still go out and enjoy exactly what they put in front of us. Mm-hmm. And he said that you guys know, but you still go out and enjoy it. And I took that as a huge compliment.
Yeah, because I really take a big step to try to step back and be like, I know this is fake and fixed, and this guy's not supposed to like this guy, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's like I try to sit back and enjoy it like I did when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Let yourself sink into it, because these people like get into it on the other wrestling casts, and for all the wrong reasons. They're not. And my big line these days, if somebody's bitching about something, is if you're not having fun watching this, why are you?
Right.
Because a lot of people, I don't know why the hell they're still watching.
If you can't find any good in it whatsoever, then there's no point in watching.
And a lot of the other casts, and this isn't all of them, so I don't want to stick it to all of them, but a lot that I listen to are really just bitch fests for however long. And that's kind of why the wrestling community is fragmented. I mean, there's people, we go to the shows, and everybody just is having fun and just talk to each other because there are a bunch of people who like wrestling. And there's other people that we don't want to have anything to do with.
Right.
Just because we know what their attitude is towards wrestling. And they get on the board for that fed and just rip people apart. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, it's independent wrestling. It's not like these guys are making a really good living off of this, if they are making a living off of this. I mean, most of the wrestlers we know their day jobs, and it's not that glamorous.
Yeah. I think people lose sight and they lose perspective of why they got into it in the first place. Mm-hmm. I started watching wrestling because when I was a kid, it was something for me and my grandfather to do. We would sit down, we would watch pay-per-views, we would watch wrestling every week, and I was a little kid, I would get excited, and it meant a lot to me, and it was time I got to spend with him. And a lot of people got into it for similar reasons, and a lot of people lose sight of that. They forget why they got into it.
Speaking of which, remind me at the end of this, I need to call Missy's grandmother because that WrestleMania special is tonight. She's like 86 years old. I call her every Monday night to watch her wrestling, and she still watches it. And she will until she goes blind, I swear. We actually took her to a wrestling event when she was 82 up in Elmira, New York, and we were like 9 rows back because it was a small arena. And now we had to order back. She hates Ric Flair. She whether she knows or not, that's exactly the right kind of person. I was like, just is into it and hates Ric Flair. Doesn't care if everybody's supposed to love him now. That was all. It's great, and it's great that my wife like. That's the other thing is your theory about the wrestling, about how everybody has watched wrestling.
Oh yeah. Everybody.
That's a really good point.
It's true. It's very rarely disproven for me. Everybody at some point in their life has been connected to wrestling. Either they watch. If I mention I do a wrestling podcast, they're like, oh, I used to watch it when I was a kid, or they'll strike up a conversation on what's going on now. Or people will be like, oh, it's Stone Cold still wrestling because they watched it during the Attitude Era, during the 90s.
Yes, like you guys watch wrestling at some point, in some varying degree, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like how much?
I used to watch in the late 70s because my girlfriend's father was into it, and while she was busy, he would grab me and say, okay, we'll watch the wrestling for a while. And then I got back into it again in the late 80s through mid-90s. And just, I forget exactly when I got up, I got tired of the storylines. Mm-hmm. And I got tired of the fact that it used to be the pay-per-views were once every quarter, and you'd actually have stories that would happen during the weekly shows. Things would actually begin and end. Instead of just every weekly show, it's just a build-up to the next pay-per-view, and nothing else happens.
Yeah.
And I just got tired of it.
Mm-hmm. What about you?
I would probably say the last time I really watch wrestling on any regular basis was probably late '80s. I mean, I've seen it now and then. You know, I know the big players. I could probably recognize them, but yeah, you know, when I was a kid, Saturday morning cartoons and wrestling back and forth.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly. What about you?
You still watch wrestling today?
Yeah. How'd you get into it?
I really watch.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, I got into it in the late '80s and kind of phased out of it because I didn't have cable.
I had the same problem.
We just don't have cable where we lived, and finally we got satellite in '96. And it was just when the NWO thing happened, and everybody remembered from the early '90s, late '80s was in WCW. So I was into that, and eventually got back over to WWE.
I would keep up with it. I would read whenever we didn't have cable. I would keep up with it. I would try and keep up with the storylines. And then actually, when I came to college, my dorms had free cable, so I got right back into it.
Right back in there, yeah. So I mean,
yeah, it's touched all of us, and I think good.
Has your podcast brought people back into it? In other words, have you gone contacted from anyone that said, I used to watch it, I discovered your podcast and listened to what you were discussing and started watching it again?
We've had people that don't regularly watch wrestling just listen to our podcast for its own entertainment value.
Yeah.
And there's people that have gotten back into it.
We've brought people back into it, yeah.
Mr. McMahon, it was us.
He was always a favorite.
Yes.
And let's say lesson number 27 here.
Okay. All right.
You absolutely have to do with your love. Do what you love.
Yeah.
When it comes to podcasting, if you're not doing something that you love, you'll burn out after 3 months tops because you get sick of talking about it. We can talk about it. We come up with fresh material every week.
We talk about it for 3 hours because we would be doing it anyways without the microphone. Sometimes we'll be sitting there. So how many times did I say we're sitting there watching a pay-per-view and we just kind of go into a thing, a discussion, an argument, pretty much our own kind of made up on the spot bit.
Oh yeah.
And we're like, man, we should just put a microphone on and just capture this stuff and toss it out there because it's hilarious.
But sometimes we do.
Sometimes we do.
Sometimes we do.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah, we experiment a little bit with just putting the camera on us when we watch a pay-per-view. So if somebody's watching, they can dial us up and kind of have the conversation with us. And even with Raw, for a while there, we had the Monday Night Champs. We kind of phased out. I blame Heroes.
I blame myself.
I wasn't going to say I was going to blame you, but I really blamed you too. Yeah.
That's fine. I was hosting it, but my webcam died, and I didn't replace it. So that's pretty much it.
What's that?
Every Tuesday, man.
What?
Yep. Go on.
Okay. But yeah, just make sure it's something you love and that you're passionate about. Mm-hmm. And it's really spun off to its own thing because we couldn't stop a couple of our guys, well, including me, to talk about Heroes when I was on like the last season, my last 2 seasons, I guess. And this season he decided to do his own podcast.
Yeah.
Because, we ended up talking about it on our show anyways. So he's actually dealing with the fan from the Rocks. Mm-hmm. So,
we're a machine.
We're a machine.
We're a machine.
We're a podcast.
We are a new media force to be reckoned with. Because we have podcasts, we all have our own blogs now. Everybody's blog is at least relatively successful.
Red-ish.
Red in the Pittsburgh community and elsewhere.
This guy needs to write more.
This guy needs to write more.
This guy
He's got a blog.
TheSilentNinja.blogspot.com.
That's correct.
That's a Silent Ninja. He, that was
kayfabe. You just asked him a question like he was part of the guy. What's the matter with you?
No, it was the guy over there.
Oh, the other guy. The guy who left.
Yeah, the guy who left.
Okay. Silent Ninja, yes.
Oh, it's your story. You're the one that came up with it.
Oh. You want me to tell the whole story?
No, just do the clip notes.
Basically, the deal is he's a big, imposing force, and he doesn't really speak. What he does is he captures his prey and steals their jawbones and devours them for sustenance. He's a force to be reckoned with as well.
There you go. And that's one of the many, many things that have been running on the show for the last 2 years.
That's another great thing. Running gags just happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, McMitch's. Remember McMitch's?
McMitch's. We had this one all spawned from, we went to McDonald's, a local McDonald's, and the service was absolutely awful.
It's still not any better.
So we decided to complain. We decided on the air to call the manager, and we did.
Because everybody would, because at the time I lived right around the corner from McDonald's, so everybody would go and pick up some food before coming over.
Mm-hmm. And well, we called. It was such a lame duck interview. I mean, we weren't gonna curse this guy out, and the guy didn't really give a shit that we got screwed over. So then we recorded how we wanted it to go, which was basically the guy calling again, and me in the basement answering. And I ended up being like, that's terrible. I will punish and ruin whoever wronged you. Was it Jessica? It was Jessica. And I started screaming at her to get on the fryer. And I locked her.
We'll burn your hands in the fryer again. Yeah, that was.
No, I don't think I said that.
I thought that was. And
I locked her.
There's something about carving out garden gnomes in the freezer.
I locked her in the freezer, and then we had like 2 weeks off. And you called again, and I was like, I left Jessica in the freezer. Carved a garden gnome. It's.
That went for a while.
That did go for a while.
It eventually developed after over 2 months.
He was in exile from the FDA, and he was from Cuba.
No, it was Mexico.
No, it was Cuba, because Castro was on his deathbed at the time. He had a heart attack, and he was like, I'm poised to take over. I'm calling you from Cuba.
More outrageous as we
Ridiculous.
Yeah. That's
creative minds.
I think we're one of the Christmas specials, so we didn't do one that week. I think I took all the skits and just put them in a show.
You're right.
It was like an hour of McMitch's skits.
Yeah. So, that's not to say that we haven't had a lot of failed skits too. I mean, we've got stuff that doesn't get over with the crowds.
Tommy Gun Tommy.
The Tommy Gun Thompson. We did a skit where
SmackDown.
SmackDown. No, it was a pay-per-view. It was a SmackDown pay-per-view.
SmackDown, because it was Tuesday.
Title change.
Yeah, it was when Edge changed his title.
Yeah.
On a Tuesday.
Yeah, because he raised SmackDown. Okay, right. SmackDown was in Pittsburgh. So, and we
couldn't make it.
we couldn't make it. So but we pretty much predicted what was going to happen. Edge was going to run and steal the title, and we knew. And it did end up happening. But what we
were making some pretty ridiculous predictions.
That's true. That's true. So what we did was I went on the porch and I called in as this kid, Tommy the Tommy Gun Thompson. And he
stumbled over himself.
He stumbled over his words, and he had a horrible voice, and he was so desperate because he was excited to be on the Wrestling Mayhem Show.
He's like, how cute, guys. But he didn't turn into the Nate Diesel skit, too.
You're right.
It's the same voice.
But it fell right flat on his face. The fans didn't like it, and I mean,
it was horrible. It was painful to try to get through that.
Yeah.
So ad-lib with somebody that has a horrible speech impediment like that.
Yeah.
You just can't take seriously.
So we scrapped it, and honestly, when you come across things like that, don't take it personal. If the fans don't like it, that's cool. You scrap it, or you change it, and you move on.
Yeah.
You gotta learn from your mistakes. Move forward. Lesson number 48.
Now, you guys are interested in starting? Are you doing any already, or?
I've been on several.
I'm sorry?
I've been on several.
What kind of stuff?
I was on a gaming podcast called The Roundtable from the House of the Harping Monkey. I have...
Right, where else? We are a plug machine.
HouseOfTheHarpingMonkey.com. That no longer exists. That podcast no longer exists. Although Mick Bradley, the proprietor, does some work for another podcast right now. I have appeared on a local podcast. Now, that was the one that...
Whoa! You just attached...
Wow, that's not very ninja-like. I gotta say, that's some serious flawed reaction time.
I'm so sorry, man.
You just jacked him in the face with that bottle.
Wow! I'm so sorry.
Wow. I hope the PodCamp organizers don't see this. I'll never let us back.
That's scandal right there.
You were asleep. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. God, I feel awful now. He's the only one on the show I'm afraid of.
I'm sorry. You're saying
no. Also, the Volcanicast, which is a local, actually just up the road. Volcanicast is a show that discusses Google Hot Trends, and as dumb as that sounds,
Wait, did you say Google Hot Trends?
Google Hot Trends.
Okay.
The hottest things that people are searching for on Google. Guy makes a list of them every week, and it's 3 people sitting in a studio talking about them and making the rudest jokes about everything.
I mean, that's not too much
that
different.
sounds awesome.
Actually, that's not too much different than Dig Nation. They go and read like stories.
Well, what they try to answer is what are you searching for and why are you searching for it? So they try to figure out why in the hell people were on a particular Tuesday in March searching for Martha Stewart's nipples, or whatever. Why was that? Why was that the number one term?
And this failed?
Google. No, it's still going. I just don't do it regularly anymore. So that's volcanicast.com.
Volcanicast.com.
Yeah.
We have it on tape now.
There you go.
And the one that I do right now is a very intermittent one called The Secret Lair, which is two guys being geeks and trying to take over Northeast Ohio, except that my co-host just moved to Los Angeles.
Yep.
So we expanded, and we're now trying to take over Hollywood too.
Nice.
So and that's thesecretlair.com.
It's a good concept, and you're having fun with it.
We enjoy it. Now, unfortunately, because he moved to LA, we now have to do all our stuff over Skype. But the way we used to be in the fantabulous Erie Vista studios, but that went away.
We moved from upstairs in a very small room to the basement. It was such an upgrade. We started getting like 3 guests at a time.
We have like room now.
Yeah. What's our time? Are we over?
We are 1 minute too late.
1 minute till late.
So I was going to ask you about your studio. So you're now in a basement.
We are now in the basement. You can
Okay.
see it if you look up the Mayhem cam.
That's right.
It's the most recent ones where there's this nice couch and a green sheet.
That's correct.
Before he was up in the office, even before that, I was at the old place, which was more bigger
Which
room.
was your office, yeah.
It was like this office built on thing to a duplex we were in.
I can't judge. Our Erie Vista Studios was actually in my co-host's bedroom,
Nice.
where the magic happened in more ways than one. Not on the show all the
I know
time.
at least one other podcast that's from a bedroom.
Yeah. The podcasts I've been on, some are in the bedroom, some are in the basement, some are on the laptop.
I know some podcast novelists. They when they do their novels podcast, they record in the closet because of the sound dampening qualities.
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard about that, and I've been the novelist. I've been catching on to this. I know a little bit on the Awful Show that mentioned about one guy. I don't Audio or something.
Audiobooks.com.
Audiobooks.
You can get a lot of free stuff on Audiobooks.com.
Yeah, that's the one I was hearing about, and it's really good stuff. That's becoming a huge thing between that, Audible, especially since Audible's been all over the This Week in Tech network.
Audible actually just patronized their services
yes.
last month. Yes.
The big difference between Audible and Audiobooks, obviously, is everything on Audiobooks is free.
Yeah. Audible, not so much.
It's different.
I just
Yeah.
picked up Choke.
That movie they
Chuck
came
Palahniuk.
out
Yep.
the book before.
Choke
Good book.
and a bunch of Sherlock Holmes radio plays.
Yeah, and it was awesome.
Yes,
But,
let's go.
Well, I think we should wrap it up.
I think we should.
Or they start inviting to play some rock, man. I'm about to break it out. I guess we should go break down our booth. It is 8 o'clock.
Oh, whatever. You can tell me anytime. I don't know what's going on.
Schedule.
Here, try. Drinks.
Anyways. Well, thanks for joining us.
All right.
Yes.
Especially you.
Thank you for joining us too as well, sir. We are the WrestlingMayhemShow.com. You can also find us at ThoughtfulRiot.com, Sorgatron.com. Those are our blogs. You can find us everywhere on the internet: YouTube, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, Flirt. If it beeps, we're on it. WrestlingMayhemShow.com. Come listen to us because, especially in this time of economic peril, we're free.